Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John's reports for the 10th. Well, we filled back to the 76%, but as you can see, that was enough for the shorts to kind of just fade off. That was literally what they were looking for, and you can see the pop back up now of steel. Should be enough to maintain the support. Of course, this is pre-market right now. The ending from Friday left us, just below the wick level, which was still continuation. When you look at the DOC, we were still below the negative 13.5 and coming off the strong DOC spread right here with the cyan breaching. The red, could it continue? Absolutely. But if you get this continued fade off of the MBI white, I just don't think it's going to have much legs. Everyone's, of course, the ideal situation would be to draw them into a break of that 43.70, which would be equivalent to that double top neckline kind of configuration. And I think they may try to tempt it if they can. That would be the ideal one to really suck in a lot more shorts and or panicked longs, and then you can really turn it around on them. But I don't think any of this is outrageous or even remotely shocking. I mean, we're still between 176%, so you're at the peak, and nothing's really changed from a drastic standpoint. The real question is, will the Fed, continue its hike policy as they've stated? Well, if we look at the bond market, they finally woke up, and lo and behold, doing exactly what's expected here. We're now back down to the lows that, I said that we should have never deviated from, because all this was a joke when people were just thinking that they could somehow force the Fed to change by literally pitting down the rate, which was hilarious in and of itself. So they finally have capitulated to the Fed. And what is the axiom? You don't fight the Fed. It doesn't work. They're just unlimited resource. From an oil standpoint, back up into the upper side of the range here. So that becomes critical. Finally, we're seeing an MBI white lead on that right at this top end of the range. So it means we hopefully can come back into that, maintaining that stability within there, because that certainly is beneficial from an economic standpoint. And they're keeping the euro nice and healthy in this upper portion. They're not going to let it drift too much, because that just creates a lot of headaches for them, as they experienced before. And they really don't want any more confidence issues with European banks, because they're in a world of hurt. Hasn't changed in a decade, so it's just keep passing it on from one month to the next. And from a gold standpoint, there's no impetus to drive that. You're gonna have to see it through oil. Of course, a little bit of fade back into the Bitcoin, filling in a couple of positive extremes. Still have a ways to go for that to soften, but that news was everyone was waiting for something to transition from that. They're not going to let that happen. They're going to fade it back. Everyone's going to forget about it, and then that's when they will take the action to push it back up again. And ETH has been much softer within that configuration. You can see breakdown of the magenta below the 33. I mean, all the classic things, and now you have a white lead, so that should take you back to the 50% range. And 50K. So we had a little short, little pull back up, fought in between, and then shorted there towards the end of it, and literally just filled back here in the pre-market on the nice dip. All good from that standpoint. Here we are in the pre-market, a little bit soft. They're bringing it right back up to the bottom of the threshold. Let me look at Friday's action. So we had the back and forth, shot it all the way up there, only to just dump into the close and wipe out all the little stops and all the people who were having that exuberance for holding into the weekend. Certainly did not work out well for him, but you can see that it was pretty soft throughout most of the Friday action. We had the whole pre-market go in, and as soon as the early portion of late European trading started, was enough to then create that build. As soon as the open shot up, everything was all rosy until it wasn't, and that's how it works. They just up and back. This is kind of, I think, healthy again. So I've been very pleased with the way the market's performed. Once the Fed started the rate cycle increase, they've allowed a bit more of a natural flow within the trade, and the algos really have been able to kick in and do that more mean reversion behavior. And I think that certainly is much more stable from a solid trade standpoint. So that's where we're at for right now. As always, though, I'll continue to update you on the Skype chat. Trade well. Have a good one.